but I wanted to come out and say Smokey is right. He left some comments. I told him to reach out to Sharilyn. I didn't know who Smokey was. He was just someone in the chat on my blogs, but he had a compelling story. And Sharilyn thought that I should present it on here and start talking about survivor stories. She wanted me to get away from dealing with Isaac Cappy and all of the child trafficking and focus on the word. And we were going to focus on Smokey and his story and how he went to the word. So I told Smokey to reach out to that email address that Sharilyn had that she would never give me access to. And so they started talking. Then Sharilyn told me that I needed to talk to Smokey on the phone. And it was right after I chose, because I did a three-way call with Smokey and Sharilyn during the phone call. I have my plate full. Let's just put it that way. And I trusted Sharilyn. Hey, Susan. Hey, Cognitive. So Smokey is right. I asked him to reach out to Sharilyn. What ended up happening is that Smokey started telling Sharilyn how he was connected to MS-13. And then I got pushed. Sharilyn pushed me, you really need to talk to Smokey. You really need to talk to Smokey. And I decided, okay, because I was going to start talking about his story to try and help people, to try and help survivors, to try and bring us together. It obviously never happened that way. But as soon as Sharilyn found out that he was saying that he was connected to MS-13, then that's when Thomas and Gabe came down on me saying that I was associating with someone who was connected to MS-13 and they were making threats. It became this big fucking ordeal. And I don't think it was an accident at all. Was I willing to take those vape cartridges? Yeah, because I smoke pot and I have a medical marijuana license, but not in Nebraska, in Iowa. And Sharilyn was having me pick her up on the other side, closer to Lincoln. I was picking her up at Sat Brothers. I would have never made it to Iowa where that shit would have been legal. I would have had to go through Nebraska, and Sharilyn kept calling it felonies. She was going to give me 2 felonies. You know? That's what she kept saying. That's her verbiage. Sharilyn is definitely stirring the fucking pot. And that's because they don't want Famalam investigated. They don't, hey, Gov, they don't want Famalam investigated. They don't want anything. They don't want anybody. Fuck, I've already gotten 7 emails from Thomas today. You know? I'm getting a phone call. And unfortunately, this person's going to keep calling it because we haven't talked in a few days. But they don't want that Famalam thing investigated. You know? Smokey is not the issue. Okay. Smokey wasn't the issue. Sharilyn is. And Smokey doesn't know who Sharilyn is any more than I do. It's my ringtone. He's never met her. I wasn't getting the vape cartridges from him anyway. He's fucking in northern Michigan. You know? But Smokey's right. I did send him to go talk to Sharilyn. I sent him Sharilyn was always saying that email. So they started talking. You know, the email that I've never had access to. Sharilyn never gave me access to that email. They don't want the Famalam thing investigated. Now Thomas is trying to tell me, oh, Tara Joyce is going to have your house seized so you're homeless for winter. How the fuck is that going to happen, dickhead? You know? You have an answer for everything, Thomas. I don't believe you. You're a fucking game player. Ever since you've come into my life, you've gone out of your way to make my fucking life a living hell. And you want to say, oh no, because I didn't do that to you, so therefore you didn't do it to me. That's not how it works. Ever since you've come into my life, it has been just nothing but fucking one thing after another thing after another thing. And you fucking wrote me 7 novellas already today after my live this morning. Again, it just shows the obsession. And I know everything I fucking say is wrong. You know everything there is to know about all these people. They're not involved with child trafficking. You're not involved with child trafficking. There is no child trafficking. Isaac Cappy just was talking out his ass. Jeffrey Epstein didn't exist. There was no one on the fucking islands. Child trafficking just doesn't exist. Fuck, ask Thomas. He'll give you every fucking answer why. It doesn't exist. Certainly not with Sewer Town. Certainly not with Gabe Hoffman. Never talks about Lucian Greaves. I don't believe this fucking Johnny Dub. You know? They're all, the whole thing about it is the Famalam program is what Isaac Cappy was murdered over. They don't want that program investigated because they're all on there. My stepmother, Joanne, Sharilyn, Geo, Daniel Dowd, Tara Joyce, all of Sewertown, Corey Daniel. Fuck, Thomas has a zillion goddamn sock puppet accounts, so who the fuck knows who he is? They all do. They all have these sock puppet accounts. And Gov will tell you, because he just talked to me, I was not irritated 15 minutes ago. But I talk about this shit and it just aggravates the living shit out of me. I just get aggravated. They murdered Isaac over that Famalam program. It's being used for child trafficking. Sharilyn is associated with Famalam. My stepmother is associated with Famalam. It seems that a bunch of fucking people, all involved in all this nefarious bullshit, is all connected to that Famalam program. And it was that Famalam program that got Isaac murdered. Because who designed and developed that Famalam program? Isaac Cappy. That's why they murdered him. One of the reasons. There were several. But it gets to be exhausting having to deal with this. You know? But Smokey is right. I did tell him to reach out to Sharilyn because he was telling his life story was compelling. And he did the same thing. He ended up becoming who he needed to be because of Jesus Christ. And I found this story to be compelling. I was going to deal with it. But there's just too much that I have to deal with on this program, you know? And so thank you, Gov. Because Gov just talked to me. I had just gotten up from a nap. It was when I went out to the grocery store today, it's 26 degrees and windy here. It went from 60 degrees to fucking winter time. It is cold here. I think it's 31 right now, and it's windy. It snowed yesterday. The snow was beautiful. And I usually like cold weather, but boy, this was a drop that I wasn't expecting. I don't think anybody was expecting it. I know a lot of people weren't expecting it. There were people coming into the store with shorts and t-shirts, freezing. Which just baffles me. when you go outside your house, can't you feel that it's cold outside? That it's probably not shorts and t-shirt weather? And these were adults, you know? Could you not tell that it was cold outside? I could tell that it was cold outside. I walked outside and realized I needed a coat, so I walked back in and got a coat, you know? And we just got hit. When I did the live this morning, we had just gotten the solar. We are now going to be hit with an X-class solar flare. It won't be here for another 42 to 70, 40, 48 to 72 hours. But we're going to have, we're going to be, because it's going to hit us dead on. You know, it's going to hit us dead on. And so we're getting hit with solar flare after solar flare. And now that Three Eye Atlas is emitting plasma all by itself. It's like no comet we've ever encountered, you know? Oh man, Susan, it is unusual for it to be the first time I ever visited San Francisco. It was years and years and years ago, and it was our first time we ever went to San Francisco, and we were in Iowa, and it was 90 degrees in Iowa. So we packed shorts and t-shirts and all of that. We were packing because it was summertime, and went to San Francisco. And we ended up having to go buy basically a brand new wardrobe because it was so cold in San Francisco. We had to go buy jeans. We had to go buy coats. Thank God for it. It was at the time when Old Navy actually was a decent store, because Old Navy used to be decent. The Gap used to be decent. You know, the solar flares might be taking out AI. They're thinking that we're going to get hit with the Carrington event. And these coronas, or these coronal holes that are in the sun that are facing us, are getting bigger and bigger and bigger exponentially every day. They're growing. And we can actually see them growing. So the sun is doing some really scary stuff. Again, I think we might be at the end. You know, I think we might be at the end. In fact, I'm pretty damn sure we're at the end. But I wanted to come on here and say, Stormy was right. I told him to reach out to Sharilyn. I should have never done it. I should have never told anybody to use that email. But I didn't know at the time. You know? I didn't know at the time. It takes me a while because even when I have misgivings about a person, I second guess myself and poo poo myself because I tell myself that I'm just being paranoid. And so, do you know how many times I have put myself in bad situations because I felt that the situation was wrong, that the person that I was dealing with was bad? Thomas is another example. You know, despite everything, I tried to be friends with them, telling myself I'm just being paranoid. Well, oh, get out of there. Come on, I can't believe you're doing that right in front of me. I'm not paying them attention. So while I'm sitting here, they're going into the garbage can and they're pulling out my Kleenex because my sinuses have been terrible. I've been blowing my nose. So then he was sitting right in front of me, tearing up that Kleenex because he wanted attention. They are so spoiled. Thank you. I try to have a kind heart. I am not an investigator. I don't even play an investigator on television. All I know is that this Famalam thing and this child trafficking thing and all the people that I've mentioned need to be investigated. They need to be investigated. They don't need to be talked to. They don't need to be fucking debated. They need to be investigated. You need to look at what their shit is doing, not what they're saying, but what they're doing. Oh, yeah, you call Thomas. He'll have a fucking answer for everything you bring up. Of course, most of it will be bullshit. That's the same with all of them. You know, it's the same with all of them. Oh, yeah, they. One day, I was sitting at my dining room table and I wasn't paying enough attention. And one of them went and got, I felt like I was living with a cat, went and got a hold of the toilet paper in the bathroom. And the next thing I know, it was strewn all over. And I was dealing with stuff on my phone and wasn't paying the least bit of attention. You know, I would not trust Dave and Annette. I just wouldn't trust him. I've had to deal with him before. I wouldn't trust him. Take what he says with a grain of salt, but then take what I say with a grain of salt. You know? He's been called out way too many times. The thing with Kevin and Annette is that Kevin and Annette was supposed to go on a thing that I was invited to go on. It was a collection. It was being televised or aired, and we were all coming on there. And the dude, the host who had invited us, saw Kevin and Annette come in there. And then Kevin and Annette realized I was in there, and Kevin and Annette left. And then the guy realized that he went to another thing and went on that instead. And Kevin and Annette didn't like to deal with me because he didn't like the questions I asked. I don't trust Kevin and Annette. There's a lot. I think that what he's doing, he's covering up. Because notice how nothing has been done with the indigenous women who have disappeared. That he's taken on, oh, he's another Noreen Gosh. You know? 50 fucking years later, no one will be closer to knowing what happened to those indigenous women than they were at the beginning. You know? Kevin and Annette didn't want to deal with me. A lot of people don't want to deal with me because I end up calling people out. I don't play the games. And that's what they don't like, is that I don't play the games. I'm just, there's too much at stake. You know? And am I right about everything? Most likely not. The stuff that I grew up with and all of that. But everything that I'm saying, I've never did a thorough investigation on fucking Thomas Schoenberger or Corey Daniel or Tara Joyce or Daniel Dowd or Geo Farnsworth. I don't investigate them. What ends up happening is that people tell me. They come to me. I don't even have to go anyplace. I don't have to do anything to find this shit. You know? Yep, Susan, that's just it. If we believe someone's getting to the bottom of this, we relax. And that's not yet. Not yet. Haven't felt that way yet. And so therefore I'm not going to let it go. You know? I'm not. Oh, if Kevin Annette is on the Imagination podcast, you just did it for me. The Imaginative they're fucking connected to Lucian Greaves. You know? Whatever. And they don't like to be called out. Shit, they call me out all the time. You know? They're constantly saying stupid shit about me. I molested my nephews when they were kids and I was an adult, but there's only 3 years difference between one and 8 years difference between the other. They don't run with that much anymore because it's so fucking stupid. You know? That was my documentary. The video where you could hear children screaming as ghost children. That was my documentary. And do you know that wasn't added? Zachary told me when he did, because it's the part where he's in Hummel Park, and I wasn't with him. And you could hear a little boy saying, "Help me, help me." And he told me he never added that. That just got picked up on when he was out there doing the video. Just crazy. You know? Kevin talks in circles. They all do. Noreen Gosh talks in circles. Corey Daniel talks in circles. Thomas Schoenberger talks in circles. Gabe Hoffman talks in circles. Lucian Greaves talks in circles. All of their arguments are circular. They go nowhere. That's why I won't debate them. Because if you call them out for something, they just ignore it. But then they fucking attack you, and then they want to get you defensive, and then all of a sudden you're arguing about stupid shit. I'm not a fucking pedophile. I'm not going to argue that I'm not a pedophile. I'm not a pedophile. There's no fucking proof or any indication that I'm a pedophile. But because they say it, I guess I'm supposed to go run and hide. But then again, if they called me a purple spotted unicorn, am I supposed to go run and hide from that too? Because it's just as stupid. Not going to run. And they do. They argue in circles. They go. Your arguments go nowhere. It's just frustration. It's a time waster. And that's the reason why I think, because they all have that talent. So I think they've all been trained in that talent. But Smokey is right. I told him to reach out to Sharilyn because I was interested in talking about his story. And so they are BS artists. Yet they get you into arguments that don't mean anything, that don't have anything, because they just look at what they've done on my lives before, you know? And then they'll say all this stupid shit that would aggravate anybody else. It's the same thing about the saying the DARPO or whatever the fuck it is that they're talking. That's what they're doing to me, because that's what I started off this morning with. Where are the phone calls that I've made to them that's all threatening? How have I doxed them? Where's the evidence that I doxed them? Darvo. Where's the evidence that I've doxed him? Where's the evidence that I fucking hung flyers all over their town trying to get people to show up to their house to shoot them? Where's the evidence of that? They do the shit to me, and then when I get upset about it, then I'm the crazy person. You know? Deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. And that's exactly it. They're all the victims. And I'm the perpetrator. But I can show the shit they've done to me. What have I done to them? I call them out. That's how they're victims. I call them out and want them investigated for fucking crimes against kids. That's, you know, that's bullshit. But then you want to know what? Everyone who's called them out is a perpetrator, and they've always been victims. So many emails. Saki knows. There's several of you out there who know, because fuck, it just never stops. It just never stops. And I've stopped forwarding a lot of them. Because I think that I'm overwhelming people, being inundated with all these fucking emails all the time. That's the reason why a lot of times I'll just post them on my blog and then send out the thing to my blog. If you want to go see it, you can. But whenever I reply, I send it to everyone. You know? Yes, Fred Trump was heavily involved. That's the reason why I know Donald Trump is involved. This fascist bullshit, this Nazi bullshit, and Bohemian Grove. Gov wants me to talk about the Bohemian Grove. First, let me explain. Someone asked me, they wanted me to once again explain the difference between Satanists and Luciferians. And so, Satanist is more of a political thing, a social thing. You know, it's you can be whatever you want with a Satanist. Basically, a Satanist is, you can be, you know, it's more like a social thing, a social construct. Satanists don't really believe in the devil. They're not fans of Christianity. And they're usually, Satanists are generally anti Christian, but they're not Luciferians. Luciferians believe in the fucking devil. They believe in the fallen. They believe in this war with heaven. They believe that doing ritual blood sacrifice, gets favor to them from demons and gives them power. And they believe in the Antichrist. They believe in the war with heaven. And they believe they're going to win this war with heaven. My dad was not a Satanist. Joanne was not a Satanist. They were Luciferian. They did blood sacrifice. You cut someone up. You want a good depiction of it. There's a scene in that movie, Doctor Sleep. Go watch about the baseball kid. I won't even warn you about it. Well, if a target, you probably don't. I've only seen that scene once, and it triggered the absolute ever living shit out of me. So if you're a survivor, don't go watch that scene. But if you're not a survivor, go watch the scene with the baseball kid. And let me tell you, that's the fucking G version of what I went through as a kid, what a lot of us went through as a kid. It's the G version. I haven't read that. I did read The Shining, you know? Again, that's more the worshiping of planets and all of that. That's more of a Satanist thing than it is a Luciferian. Bohemian Grove. Bohemian Grove, someone was talking about Susan, can I take a screenshot? I'll take a screenshot of it and then I'll just erase your name. Because that's a good thing to know, you know? I just love, I hate the screenshots that I take because I always have these bizarre looks on my face when I'm taking them. I'm very animated. My mother was very animated. But even now you can tell, I don't, they keep saying I'm an angry person. Fuck, I couldn't even keep the anger up. Now I'm exhausted. Partner, okay. I want to take a screenshot of that too. I'll erase your name. So Bohemian Grove. I was only there 3 times as a kid, and it was all under the age of 10. So Bohemian Grove, I'm just telling you what I know as a kid, what I went through. First of all, that I've known so many people, survivors, even Fiona will say, that the most notable thing with all of the stuff with Bohemian Grove is that fucking pond in front of that Moloch owl thing. Because the smell from that is like no other. It, I don't know if they fucking put dead bodies in it or what, but the smell is like no other. It is just absolutely terrible. I didn't say I was very busy under the age of 10. I was involved with this Luciferian cult under the age of 10. The only reason I was out of it, the only reason I was taken out of it when I was 10 is because my father, stepmother, sister Cindy, brother Stephen, brother in law Ralph made me light that dude on fire. And I wasn't drugged. Because when they take people, when they take victims, children to the Bohemian Grove, generally we're always drugged. Always drugged. Bohemian Grove is a fortified place, you know? I just said it, dude, you're starting to fucking piss me off because you're trying to fucking trigger me. See these little fucking games that you're playing because what you're trying to do is get me upset again. So with that said, I'm just going to fucking, I'll take a screenshot and now I'm going to block your ass. Because that's what ends up happening. They come in here to play all these little fucking games. You know, my stepmother fucking gave me a match and made a match thing. They were big matches. Made me like to throw a match on the dude after my dad covered him in what I think it was charcoal fluid. It was in a container, you know. No, I'm not talking about you. Libra, I'm not talking about you. The person that I'm talking about, I've already blocked. Why is John Salt? That's who I was talking about. And I blocked him. Because it was a game. I wasn't talking about you, Libra. Your stuff is fine, you know? So, Bohemian Grove, none of the weird shit happens during the cremation of care, other than the fact that they burn a child effigy. So if people end up going to the cremation of care, they're not seeing it. It's the off season that the shit goes on. It starts around Halloween and all of the stuff that goes on through Christmas, through, because it doesn't snow there. It's Northern California, but it still doesn't snow there. It gets cold. I love Fiona. Can I completely trust her? I don't know. Fuck, I don't know. Because I'm a survivor. I never know about anybody. But I love Fiona. And I talk about Fiona. Who is John Saltz's back? Yes, I talk about the Bohemian Grove in my book. Dumbass. And now he's back again. Fiona's not a bullshit artist. All of the people are fucking child traffickers. Every fucking one of them. And it's all government. Who fucking hid the shit with Jeffrey Epstein? The government. Who's still hiding the shit from Jeffrey Epstein? The government. It's not that hard to think that the government is involved with hiding the shit from Jeffrey Epstein. And it's all sides. It was Democrat and Republican. It's not just Trump. The Democrats didn't go after it any either. All of them have had a chance. Not one of them has done it. You know? But it's all these fucking child killers in here. And they don't want Famalam investigated. They don't want Famalam investigated. They don't want any of their shit investigated. Fuck. Like I said this morning, Corey Daniel actually left me a comment in the live the day before saying if anybody wants, he's the authority of everything Isaac Cappy dead. Dead Isaac Cappy. You know? The stuff for the Bohemian Grove is that the crazy shit happens in the off season. They have child hunting parties there. I was involved with that. Not as a fucking hunter, but as one of the ones who were being hunted. You know? Kevin Collins. Peter. I always want to call him Tchaikovsky, but it's not. He has a strange last name, but Peter was the one who was involved with Kevin Collins. And Peter's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's been trying. Chanowski? It's. I've known Peter. I've met Peter. Peter was involved with Doug Millar. Doug Millar is a bad guy. Doug Millar was Ted Gunderson's replacement. When Kino dumped Ted Gunderson, Doug Millar is the opposition that then worked with Aquino. They do the same thing. Aquino and Doug Millar do the same thing that Thomas Schoenberger and Gabe Hoffman did. It's the same fucking game. Same exact game. Taking him to court, doing all of this bullshit. Same fucking game. I don't understand why this game gets played, but it's the same fucking thing. Go look at Michael Aquino and the law shit that was between Michael Aquino and Doug Millar, and then compare it to Thomas Schoenberger and Gabe Hoffman. It's the same fucking game. Oh, Hunter S. Thompson. I knew him when he would come to the parties in Omaha when I was 18, 19, 19. I came to Omaha when I was 19. I just turned 19. People hated him. People hated Hunter Thompson because he was fucking insane. And he would do violent, insane shit and everyone knew what to expect out of him. The dude was just out of control. He was a fucking drug addict, you know? He was a drug addict. So obviously he had no self-control. He would do all this crazy, dangerous, violent shit and put other people at harm, at risk. He loved to put other people at risk, you know? Fucking crazy asshole is what he was. But I probably should do more about Bohemian Grove because I've had a lot of survivors who have given me their experiences on the Bohemian Grove. And so, but that's why I say I preface it. I was only there 3 times. I was a kid under the age of 10. And more of my shit was going on because the hunting parties that were going on in Omaha, a lot of them were happening in Alan Bear's house. You know, Thompson was totally unconscious. The dude just didn't give a fuck. And he was proud of the fact that he didn't give a fuck. And he felt that people not wanting to be around him was an affront to him, which it kind of was, because he was a freak. And nobody felt safe around him. Yeah, they like the hunting parties. They like that. That's the ranch that Scalia was murdered at. They hunt children down there. Johnny Depp and Marilyn Manson. Johnny Depp. He wanted to be the Satanist poster child, so I asked heaven to make him Satanist poster child. I don't think his life has gotten any better since then. In fact, I pretty much guarantee it hasn't. I knew Johnny Depp was involved with Hunter Thompson. It was when Johnny Depp got matching fucking devil tattoos with Damien Eccles on their back that I fucking flipped out and went to heaven and asked for Johnny Depp to be made an example of. And then I did that, and I was told that heaven would do what I asked, but I had to go public with what I did, and I didn't want to do it because Dougie, Lucian Greaves, was on top of me, and I knew what the fuck was going to happen. So I did. I said what I did. And the whole day I got berated. But the very next day, I'm not arguing fucking Fiona's bullshit. I'm not arguing. And now this fucking dude is back with the same fucking name. And so I hit him. You know, the Memphis, those 3 boys. I don't think that the 3, Damien Eccles and all of that, I think they were involved with a bigger group that was full of adults as well. I think they were involved, but I don't think they were involved alone. That's what I think. For a cult, for that shit, takes 12. Takes 12 for a coven, not 3. God, we're talking about some dark shit this afternoon. Oh. Well, I'm getting off here, guys, because I was just informed by my phone that I have a 3% battery left. So this isn't going to last very long at all. I just never plugged in my phone. That could be very well too. I don't agree that Fiona is full of crap, and I don't know how you. But every fucking survivor, the only ones you can trust are these fucking child killers. Everyone who comes against them. Isaac was a liar. Fiona's a liar. Max Spears is a liar. I'm a liar. Everyone's a liar. The only ones who can fucking tell the truth are the fucking child killers. They're the only ones you can trust are the fucking child killers that play all kinds of goddamn games. If you believe that, you better be rushed to the emergency room because you're about to asphyxiate because your head is shoved so far up your ass, you're obviously not getting any oxygen. You can't trust these fucking child killers, and this shit needs to be investigated. I will do a short prayer, but I still have 3%, and so I am going to this is the shit that they do because he just came back talking about Max Spears and that I'm grifting. You know, grifters don't give shit away. I don't charge for any of my videos. My blog is free. The extended version of my book is free. I'm not a fucking grifter. They make their money off of fucking child trafficking. Which one's worse, do you think? I know my opinion. Fucking child killers. I'll put the donation things in there. My PayPal and Venmo is just at and then D Shurter. So it's just my first initial, my last name. That's my PayPal and Venmo. Buy me a coffee is David Shurter. At the end, I'll put the links in. You know, it's just I know people are hurting for cash. And they do make me feel bad asking for money. That's why I don't do it all the time. You know? And so, and yeah, I'm hurting. But aren't we all? Heaven, I come to you. I was nowhere near as aggravated as when I first started this, but these idiots just, I find them aggravating. That's the reason why I'm not going to debate them. All of this stuff doesn't need to be debated. It needs to be investigated. It needs to be investigated. And they think if they can work their bullshit and their fucking lies and their gaslighting, that they can save their child trafficking operation. And I'm really tired of it. And I'm not the only one. There's a bunch of us who would really like to see these assholes brought down. Sorry to swear, but there are so many of us who are so sick of this group of child killers that it's a saving grace that any of us have any hair left because you just want to pull out your hair. You sent your son, our brother, Jesus Christ, down, and I can't be more grateful because he definitely saved me. And he saved others. That's the reason why I was interested in hearing Smokey's story, because Smokey said that Jesus Christ saved him. And I know that most survivors, those of us who get away from it and get out of it, it's because of our faith in Jesus Christ specifically. And I just want to say I'm grateful and thankful. Things are hard. Money is non-existent. But I'm not running from bombs. Literally. Figuratively, I'm constantly running from bombs. But I just want to say I'm grateful. And I'm grateful for the people in here. The conversation, although dark, has been enlightening. And I say these things gratefully and lovingly. And a reminder that all glory goes to God. and your Son, our brother, Jesus Christ. Amen. Oh, God. I'm not a coward or a liar, and you're an obsessive fuck. I am John Salt is an obsessive fuck. You know? I'm not a coward. I won't debate them because what they'll do is just gang up on me. You know? They don't want to be investigated. That's what it is. And what they're doing to me is what they do to every survivor. They call every survivor a liar. And the only ones you can trust are the fucking child killers. And that dude is connected to the fucking child killer. And here I am. I'm not cowering. I'm not poking from the fucking dark. I'm not on here with a fucking anonymous fake name, motherfucker. That would be your dumbass. And with that said, for donation stuff, I'll put that in the description. I gotta let my phone charge first, but you know, anything, I'd be grateful for anything, you know, honestly. Most of all, I'd be really, really grateful if someone with some sort of authority would investigate this group of goddamn child killers. Because they need to be fucking investigated. This is bullshit that survivors have to go through this. That victims have to go through this. I don't feel like I've survived anything. How do I survive something I'm still going through?